I would like to focus my talk on the fundamentals of reconnaissance, intelligence, surveillance, target acquisition and guidance, the land systems, how they see it, the perspectives of the land system, the trends and possibilities. All these things I focused from the geospatial information perspective and how it benefits both the industry and how the Indian Army looks at it, how the trends are going to be and how we expect it to unfold in years to come. We all know conflicts are there and conflicts are natural and they are addressed on vulnerabilities based on our strength. And also the targets which are the vulnerabilities are contextual or defined with reference. GIS or the geospatial information gives us precisely that. That's why without the reference we would not be able to progress further in any kind of conflict resolution. Just to put myself at ease as well as yours, I remember one of my instructors who used to teach us ammunition. He is a very, very passionate instructor, Brigadier R.K. Singh. The moment he starts off with ammunition classes, he used to go on and on and on. At times he forgets the lunch also. He'd go on till 3 o'clock. And you know, the military mind or the military stomach always wants its lunch at 2 o'clock. And he used to always ask us, are you with me? He asked at least every third sentence he used to say, are you with me? And our answer used to be, yes, but where are we? Because invariably you get lost in the chemical chain or the ammunition chain, you get lost in between. So, it is one of the way of telling that yes, the references are important and we should know where we started and where we end, for which the reference are as important as anything else. So gentlemen, if I dissect the risk tag, the targets, acquisition and guidance, I shown in the viewpoint, I don't want to elaborate much on this, this is all known to everybody. But what is of our interest is that of artillery and armor, as we have got two eminent speakers following us on air defense, and few other soldier systems. I'm not going to talk much on tank, although I got varied experience with tanks and tank armaments and this type with tanks, but I will only highlight the imperatives of these tanks as we see it. Another important connect of intelligence with the risk tag is as important. Every action or activity that is in terms of recce surveillance and other things that are shown in the form of detection, recognition, identification and measurement, which we can take it as target acquisition, they all have to invariably get translated into actionable intelligence, and this connect is mutual. You always try and pick up few bold information, few processed information into your target acquisition and further detection. Such intelligence is again, it is time dependent and it gets enriched over a period of time, and they are not only at one places, at multiple places they get used. So there are plenty of entities that use the intelligence. So the intelligence is as important as a backbone in the risk tag. The other aspect which I would like to highlight, when it comes to the levels of engagement, when we talk about levels of engagement, it can be as simple as a soldier engaging a single target, or at strategic level where a nation tries to address the other nation or the adversary's national power. In both the contexts, we need intelligence and we also need the geo-intelligence. As you can make it out, as the requirement of intelligence continues to grow in strategic levels, the proportion is much, much less. At the initial or the soldiers level, at the strategic level, it's going to increase manyfold. So intelligence is important, but geo-intelligence is essential. We cannot live without it. Then the land system imperatives, as I told you earlier, ISPAR air defense, the command and control elements and logistic elements also require as much as GIS or intelligence as anybody else's. In fact, they need much more, and since their connotation in determining the overall combat potential and the combat sustenance of field forces, the GIS will play a much larger role in days to come, primarily in logistics echelons and in command and control echelons. As far as we are concerned, when we talk about the typical characteristics of land systems that are take it artillery and tanks, they are direct weapons having an indirect fire capability, and they primarily work on the fundamental of what you see is what you get. But as they consolidate into various formations, that is for a single tank, that GIS, because a tank is generally almost or a near complete warfighting machinery up in the front, as they consolidate in terms of combat teams and combat groups, the requirement of GIS is many-fold increasing. Hence, the other important tenets of warfare, one looks at the direct attrition, the other one looks at the maneuver warfare. No warfare is ever complete in either of the spectrum. It's always going to be the mix of it. The requirement of GIS will also, in the complete spectrum, will remain varied, but it is only the range that is going to remain varied, but the quality will continue to play a very essential role. In terms of land systems and their connect with GIS, what is shown here is the firepower, mobility and protection. The opportunities lie in terms of firepower, the beyond line of sight engagements. I'm talking about the direct warfighting machineries of tank and artillery systems. And in terms of mobility, the strategic shift of thrust lines, when an armored formation would like to shift overnight 200 kilometers left or right to bring in the element of surprise, GIS is going to play a very vital role. These are the areas when the shifting of axis takes place. It is not just the fighting forces, it is the complete logistic that has to make a shift. Geo-information is going to be very vital in these areas. Then comes the referencing system. Of course, I will show 2 or 3 ideas, possibly original ideas, possibly it may be outdated, how it can be used. When it comes to protection, the detectability of bone as well as enemy is going to play a major role. As I marked it at the bottom, what helps us will also help the enemy, that we should not forget. And techniques like multi-lasing, tunable lasers and all these things, when they are integrated with GIS, will have wide and varied opportunities. Trends and possibilities, gentlemen, I am coming on the brass tacks. Rest everything is available on the internet, we can always browse, but these are the ideas which I think are important and it will have a very important thing in the future. In target acquisition, the multi-point detection systems are going to be the in thing. I'll just elaborate a little later. On target tracking, we'll have detector-based tracking, the sensors, especially the thermal sensors and the video sensors. The technology has grown at an exponential rate and it offers plenty of opportunities for detector level tracking. As far as the navigation is concerned, the previous plenary session also highlighted the vulnerabilities of GPS. The GPS vulnerabilities is one thing that the nation has to guard against, for which we will have distributed referencing or even UAV or local UAV or tactical UAV based fixes. As you all know, a tank typically lasers the enemy tank and it engages. The moment an enemy tank is lased, that is, you fire a laser to find out the target attributes, you have already given away your position. Today, the technology is such that the moment a tank is lased, it opens up its umbrella and it is absolutely safe thereafter. So the time has come when one guy lasers, there will be other guys who are ready to engage him. So the guy is not going to be safe any longer. But such technique will require a very strong GIS at lower level and also a communication. This is possible only when your tanks have got state-of-the-art fire control system. That is what is present in your tank T90 and the things that are in the offering. the state-of-art fire control systems enable such tracking, guidance and passing of information in the same available bandwidth. The other possibility what I was talking about, today we have got sensors which are thermal sensors which are working at 1024 and by 1024, a staring array, a micro scanning array and even beyond. Each pixel which is just about 25 micron or below offers or stands as a single standalone sensor because the entire processing is controlled at detector level. This gives you a phenomenal opportunity for having a continuous tracking. And imagine such systems are available in the hands of my soldiers. That is, you have got sensors available plenty in the field. All they need is to be integrated and then communicated or exchanged through our network. As the networks become stronger, detector level based tracking along with GIS overlay is going to be exponentially advantageous to us. Global versus local referencing, the previous session has already highlighted the GPS vulnerabilities. We cannot or we can no longer be reliant on GPS. Tactical fixes or the local tactical fixes are must, for which we have got a lot of UAVs, local UAVs, radio-based communication system, and all these, when it is overlaid along with our existing communication network, will give us the more accurate and reliable systems up in the field. Again, this is not an internet download, this is the original model that we have been working on. It is based on a radio communication. How a strategic grid of local referencing system can be established. Of course, the paper is pretty old. This is almost 7 years old. The concept must be outdated and quite a few things would have come. EME school was working on this concept about 7 years back. So with this, gentlemen, I come to the closing part. Zero. We all know Indians are quite proud of finding out the zero. And we all know that by itself zero represents nothing. But without zero, there is a basic reference. Nothing else gets defined. So GIS is the zero of the stack, and with this I end. Thanks, gentlemen.